Welcome everyone. Doing a fun session today with deep learning adventures and fun engaging community with members anywhere around the world. As you can see here, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm at Stanford University. I came here for a fun week and exploring the campus here, just getting to know the San Francisco area a little bit better. I'm joined by my great friends and colleagues, co-founders David and Robert here, and great friends from all around the country. Good to see everyone, and thanks for joining us again. I'll share my screen here. Let's do the entire desktop. So if you've been following us, again, this is where I am, right in front of the campus here. It's a beautiful area here. This beautiful campus. So if you've been following us, we've been covering a little bit about the ChatGPT API, specifically the OpenAI API. So we've done a lot of work around text and generative AI around text. Today we're trying something new, something different, and specifically around this model called Whisper. So Whisper is an automatic transcription system that basically takes audio as input and gives you text as output. And we'll talk a little bit about, in the end, I have several pieces of content here, including the paper, the model card, the GitHub, and how it was trained. But I think it's always fun to start with something hands-on, see how cool it is to utilize and make it work, and then maybe we can delve into the theory behind it in the end. So I have a call up here, which I'll be walking through. And as a reminder, we have a new series of this new playlist with that we mentioned. So we have this podcast from the two perspectives, OpenAI's and Google's perspectives. This course from Deep Learning AI called ChatGPT Prompt Engineering. We covered two sessions on using OpenAI's API without any code. You saw the playground. It was so easy to do different kinds of applications. I think we covered around 30 applications without using maybe minimum code or no code at all in many cases. And last time we covered the chat completion API, but using that retrieval augmented generation. So we got some public data. We scraped some data from a public website, OpenAI in this case. We stored it in a simple vector database called Excel spreadsheet or CSV file. That was a cool one, nothing fancy. And then we asked questions about the structure of the website, what authors they had, what careers they had, what blog posts they have, what were their models, and so forth. Cool. So today we'll talk about this OpenAI model called Whisper. And if you can see my screen, again, I shared this notebook on Meetup, but you'll see what APIs do we need exactly. So the goal here is to listen to a transcript. Could be audio. If it's a video, then we just need the audio part. Transcribe it, meaning get the text out of it, and then do something with that text. So the libraries are going to need is OpenAI for both the Whisper API as well as the chat completion API, as well as the Python doc. This is for us to generate, in the end of the day, a Word document. The final outcome will be a Word document with some information that we extract from the recording. So the API is pretty simple here in terms of usage. All we're going to need is from OpenAI, this audio transcribe endpoint. We're actually going to need the entire the file path for our audio. It could be a MP3 file, it could be a WAV file, it could be anything. We pass that as input. The API mentioned that you actually need the file here, not just a pointer to it. So you do need the file to pass that as input. So you pass it to transcribe, and you get this transcription back. And we're going to do with that several things. So you saw how easy it is to use, but what can we do with it? So we're going to create this custom function here called meeting minutes. We'll pass that transcription object, which is the text, and we'll do a couple of things. We'll extract the summary at a high level, any key points that are mentioned in this transcript, any action items where there's something mentioned specifically that needs to be done, and what is the overall sentiment for this. So before I do that, I'd like to play the transcript for you, so you can have an idea of what does that look like. So this is the call.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to FinTech Plus Sync's second quarter 2023 earnings call. I'm John. Stands at a hard to cost efficiencies gain.
So can you hear it?
There's a little bit of a lag in there, George.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and we lost your screen.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to my screen. Let me share again.
It's almost like the AI and Zoom decided you were telling it to make a change or something.
Yeah, that was weird, right? The eyes are getting conflicted. Okay, I'll play it again when we look at the actual transcript. Maybe that will help us coordinate the content and understand it a little bit better. But it's a fictional earnings call. You'll hear from a CEO of a company mentioning what is the company update, any context, and so forth. Yeah, even the video went out. Weird. Cool. Can you still see my screen and hear me though?
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Cool. So let's see how can we build this custom function here. So the first one is the abstract summary extraction. So we'll pass the transcription here. What we'll do is we'll call the chat completion endpoint. We're actually going to use GPT-4. It's a little bit more accurate. And actually, if you saw 2 days ago, yeah, on November 6th, OpenAI had their first conference here in SF. So they released new models, they released new features, including GPT-4 Turbo, which we're excited. It's cheaper and a little bit faster and more performant than 3.5 and 4. So we're going to use this model 4, temperature 0. We don't want a lot of randomness in the system. And the system prompt will be your highly skilled AI trained in language comprehension and summarization. That's what we care about. So I'd like you to read the following text, and we'll pass the transcription as input, and summarize it into a concise abstract paragraph. Aim to retain the most important points, providing a coherent and readable summary that could help a person understand the main points of the discussion without needing to read the entire text. Please avoid unnecessary details or tangential points. So that's the prompt, and we'll pass it to the chat completion API. We'll pass the transcription, and we'll get back as a response the outcome. So that's the summary extraction. Similarly, if we're interested in key points, as you can see here, this is very modular, right? Basically doing prompt engineering at this point. So this is where you can maybe mention something specific about your company, or maybe something specific about your team. In this case, we're a little bit agnostic about the company or the structure. All we're saying is that you're a proficient AI with specialty in distilling information to key points. Based on the following text, identify and list the main points that were discussed or brought up. This should be the most important ideas, findings, or topics that are crucial to the essence of the discussion. And your goal is to provide a list that someone could read to quickly understand what was talked about. Okay, so that's the prompt. The role is the user, and the content will be the transcription. The one, any action item. Was there something decided? Maybe a meeting, a follow-up call, an agreement, anything that was decided. We'll build this custom prompt again. So your expert AI system in conversations, in analyzing conversation, extracting action items. Please review and identify any task, assignments, or actions that were agreed upon or mentioned. This could be a task assigned to an individual or general actions that the group has decided to take. Please list these actions clearly and concisely. And the last one will be the sentiment analysis that you see here. So coming back, remembering the old, traditional sentiment analysis, positive, negative, neutral, and all that. You'll see how more expressive this generative AI models are. So you're an AI with expertise in language and emotional analysis. Your task is to analyze the sentiment of the following text. Please consider the overall tone of the discussion, the emotion conveyed by the language used, and the context in which words and phrases are used. Indicate whether sentiment is generally positive, negative, or neutral, and provide brief explanations for your analysis where possible. Cool. So putting everything together then, a little bit of the logistics. So we're going to use this this document object here from above here, just making sure we have the right path. And then in the meeting items here, we're going to have a heading paragraph. This is us basically creating a new Word document. This is us. We're going to create a heading for each topic, summarization, key points, extraction, sentiment analysis. So this is us just setting up that Word document programmatically in Python. A little bit about code. When I did this back in the day, my usage was $1.4 there, $1.40. I entered my API key. I did run into an issue though. I wanted to bring this up. My file, let's look at it again. My file was what, 3 minutes long? And apparently there's a limit on how long you can make your input. My input in WAV was around 50 megabytes. If I convert it to MP3, it's way less, maybe 1/3 of it. But currently this Whisper API has a limit of 25 megabytes. And if you want longer inputs, you have to separate them in chunks and do the transcription of chunks consequently. So for example, I have a long one. I need to break that into chunks, and I can get maybe the first two chunks, all of them, or the middle ones.
Could you reduce the sampling rate or something in the MP3 to reduce the size?
I didn't see an option to. So yeah, let's see this link here on longer input.
I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to do it inside of there, but I'm sure maybe one of the audio something like Audible or something you could. It may affect the quality so much that Whisper would have trouble with it. I don't know. It'd be interesting to play with.
So it says, yeah, this is the default behavior. You have longer ones, or you need to break into chunks or use compressed audio. For best performance, we suggest avoid breaking it up mid-sentence. So this is splitting. Yeah, I don't see any recommendation for sampling and all that. Maybe in the GitHub, we'll look at the GitHub later. Maybe there's an option, but right now I didn't see it. So yeah, I did that, and actually I had to install this extra package here to do this processing, PyDo, and then I imported this library audio segment. I gave it my WAV file. Again, it wasn't that long. It was just under 3 minutes. It was 50 megabytes. So milliseconds, and then I did the first 10 minutes. I mean, ended up converting it to MP3. That's what I did basically, and it was 2.8. So 20x compression there in size. Okay, so instead of WAV, then I passed the call to my overall new class there. And let me play the earning again, and I'll highlight where the earning is. Hopefully that will be easier to follow. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to FinTech Plus Sync's second quarter 2023 earnings call. I'm John Doe, CEO of FinTech Plus. We've had a stellar Q2 with a revenue of $125 million, a 25% increase year over year. Our gross profit margin stands at a solid 58%, due in part to cost efficiencies gained in our scalable business model. Our EBITDA has surged to $37.5 million, translating to a remarkable 30% EBITDA margin.
So if you heard any audio distortion, that wasn't Zoom. That was intentionally on the earnings call. It was intentionally distorted so that we would test capabilities of Whisper. Number one. Number two, if you noticed, he mentioned some numbers, especially here. He said 3.7 and then he corrected himself 37. Percentages, units, millions and all that. So quite a bit of language here. So this is the entire transcription.
Oh, no, your thing. No, I didn't get to go to that.
Then we look at the meeting minutes, and actually would like to go to the Word document because I think that's easier to follow. So looking at the entire transcription, we saved it as a Word doc. And this is what we're going to look at now. So this is the first prompt. If you remember, we have multiple prompts. This is the one that summarizes it. So the summary is this company reported a successful Q2, 25% year-over-year increase. If you remember in the transcript, that is exactly what was mentioned. 25% increase year-over-year. I'm just going to pick some numbers. Maybe EBITDA, 37.5 billion. Here I see the profit margin, revenue, Q2 2022. Yeah, maybe this gonna get right? Maybe this 30% EBITDA. Oh, 30% EBITDA margin is there. Okay. Maybe towards the end to say they're expected to raise 200 million. Bolstering liquidity and enabling growth. So expect to raise 200 million, bolstering liquidity and having growth. Okay. It's pretty on point.
I don't know. I just know that.
Key points. Successful Q2. Company gross profit margin. EBITDA, okay, there it is. And net income. They have a robo-advisor platform. And the last one was this raise 200 million. Cool. Action items, was there anything mentioned that needs to take place? No specific task assignments or actions were identified. The text is a summary of a company's financial performance and future expectations, but does not include any actionable items or tasks. And then the sentiment is overwhelmingly positive. The language used conveys a sense of success, growth, and optimism. CEO highlighting increase in revenue, margin, net income, and growth, incoming IPO, and gratitude to our shareholders. So it's a bit more complex, than just a simple positive, negative, neutral. I like the depth here of this sentiment. Cool. Zoom out a little bit, but yeah, each of these paragraphs were created by here, each of these custom functions. So the summary was one paragraph, key point was another paragraph, action item was another paragraph, the sentiment was another paragraph. Cool. And then looking at so $1.40, and then in the end, let's see how much we used. That's just a screenshot. $1.45. I noticed it takes a little bit of time for my usage to update, so maybe give it or take a little bit more. But yeah, definitely within reach for this 3-minute call. Cool. Comments, questions? Zoom out here.
As far as the usage, do you think it was the use of the GPT part or the use of Whisper?
So we use both. Yeah. So meaning what are you asking? Like
I guess you use Whisper one time and then for the other parts it was 3 different things, or
yeah, I used Whisper once just to get a transcription, and it was literally a 1-line call. Right here.
Yeah.
This is the only place where we use Whisper, and you can use other models, but Whisper is the most powerful one. And then for everything else, once we got the text, we used the GPT-4. Yeah. So completely independent tasks. Yeah. If your goal is to just to get the transcription, you can end there after Whisper. But if your goal is to maybe extract insights or maybe have summaries and all that, then GPT comes.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably just coincidental that you made 5 calls, 1 to Whisper and 4 to GPT-4, and it cost you 5 cents.
I didn't see that math, but I didn't make that connection. But I think it just happened, or maybe the refresh took longer, and after a while, maybe I got charged a little bit more.
Yeah, it's probably just
because it's not live. Cool. Yeah, speech to text. So there's an overview here. These are the different file types it supports: MP3, and MP3, MP4. It does also, by the way, translations, which we're going to talk about. So this is their website, introducing Whisper. This is somebody doing speed talking.
Comes with its own special edition micro machine vehicle and fun fantastic features that miraculously move. Raise the boat lift at the airport marina, man the gun turret at the army base, clean your car at the car wash, raise the toll bridge. And these playsets fit together to form a micro machine world. Micro machine pocket playsets, so tremendously tiny, so perfectly precise, so dazzlingly detailed, you'll want to pocket them all. Micro machines and micro machine pocket playsets sold separately from Galoo. The smaller they are, the better they are.
Okay, that was too fast for me. Free fall. Okay. Let's do some French.
Whisper est un système de reconnaissance automatique de la parole entraîné sur 680 000 heures de données multilingues et multitâches récoltées sur Internet. Nous établissons que l'utilisation de données d'un tel nombre et d'une telle diversité est la raison pour laquelle notre système est à même de comprendre de nombreux accents, en dépit de bruit.
Okay, accents. Let's do one with accent.
One of the most famous landmarks on the borders, it's 3 hills. And the myth is that Merlin, the magician, split one hill into 3 and left the 2 hills at the back of us, which you can see. The weather's never good. They always say in the borders, if the mist's on the Eildons, we never get the good weather. And as you can see today, there's no sunshine. It's a typical Scottish borders day.
Okay, that was heavy accented. I thought I had a strong accent. Okay, cool. So it was trained on 680,000 hours of multilingual. Okay, multilingual. Keep that in mind. And multitask supervised data collected from the web. I think I read somewhere that about 1/3 of this was English and the other was different languages. And we're going to see a graph for what other languages were used. In terms of the architecture, it has this encoder-decoder architecture. So you have the input, you take this log-mail spectrogram. I think we've seen this in the past. Remind me if I'm not mistaken, right? This is something that we briefly touched upon when we're doing maybe audio analysis, or maybe Robert, when you're performing for us and trying to identify the jazzy vibe or classic vibes you're playing.
Yeah, this was in the teachable machines. That unit was encoded similarly.
Nice. So then that becomes a time series, and then you use convolutional networks, and then a transformer architecture here with positional encoding, encoder blocks, cross attention, decoder blocks, and then specifically the language. You need to encode the language as well as the specific task, maybe transcribe. So yeah, these are from the paper. And again, it was trained on English transcription, so audio to text, any to English, meaning multiple languages or any language to English, non-English, maybe Korean to Korean, and maybe there's some music playing or something else, you'll transcribe as nothing. There's no text here. So the paper, the model card, and code are next. Let me look at the paper. I didn't take a deep look at it. I just noticed some of these diagrams were taken from here. Maybe a little bit more detailed on how I was trained. And what else stood out? How many hours? Oh yeah. This is the performance compared to on different data sets, compared on existing solutions. I think most of them were from like Facebook. Wave to Vec, I think, was one of the products. So this is word error rate, the lower the better. And you see the blue is Whisper, and back in 2021, I think, when it was released, it had better performance. Okay. Yeah, let's look at this one here. So in terms of what capabilities and what flavors it comes in 9 different models. So a tiny one, a base one, 74 million parameters, a small one, a medium one, and a large one. We're used to text models, which have billions of parameters, hundreds of billions of parameters. This is just 1.5 billion the max. So in 2022, they released an improved one, or large V3. Okay. And then training data, 680,000 hours of audio. 67% of this represents English. 18% non-English audio. 17% non-English audio, and the corresponding transcript. Non-English data represent 98 different languages. Okay. And here the GitHub has some more information. So similar to the papers, to the diagram we saw. Here, this was interesting to me. So the performance varies widely depending on the language. So here we're going to see a performance breakdown of their models, their V2 and V3. Let's say V3 is the larger one, using word error rates. So the lower the better. So the x-axis is error rate, y-axis is language. Or character error rate, evaluated on 2 different data sets, Common Voice 15 and Flourish data set. Not familiar with this data set, but I imagine they'll have like a variety of text and audio. So you see Dutch model large V.3. Again, this is scroll down by the bottom. It's word error rate, okay? So the smaller the better. So Dutch performs better or best compared to other languages: Spanish, Korean, Italian, German, Thai, Russian, Portuguese, Mandarin. Where's English? There it is. There we are. Okay. Japanese, French, Romanian, Cantonese, Mandarin.
And yet it's trained on a lot more English than any other language, any other individual language, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that's because English is just maybe a difficult language with a lot of homonyms?
I don't know. Yeah, I thought Albania was hard, and then look at this. We're at the bottom here. Maybe representation. Maybe we don't have a lot of text or audio. And the floors, let's see. Spanish is there. Italian is top there. Korean, Portuguese. English is high. So in the floors, English is much higher than here. Yeah, maybe that's a good point. I don't know if there's a paper mentioned anything about English. Or with English only versions. Okay. So there's English only, there's a multilingual as well. Cool. Yeah, maybe the paper has a better explanation of English. But I remember I had something here I wanted to share. So yeah, these are the different evaluation data sets. Long form English only data sets. Multilingual data sets. Oh yeah, these are the different models that compare 2022. So most of them are, again, this Wave to Vec kind of family. Hubert, S2T, Microsoft Unispeech, NVIDIA STT, and another company here. Cool. So yeah, hope you find this interesting. Again, documentation is there if you want to take a look, but I just wanted to show how easy it is to just do a simple call, have a transcript, and then do whatever you want with that transcript. Cool. Any comments, questions, let me know. This was an interesting one. Okay. Then what is coming up next? So after this, we're gonna take a break. We're not gonna have a session next week. Go ahead.
So, I mean, would it be possible
Nothing?
to run this against our recorded meetings?
Yeah.
And you could do that like on the audio and generate a summary or something. I don't know. I'm just curious.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. We can maybe run this on some of our meetings recordings and actually, and see how it performs.
Yeah,
The
it'd be
other-
cool. It would be cool to tie it into some kind of like generate keywords or hashtags
Mhm.
and then tie that into SEO on top of that. But you know, we're getting a little advanced there. But
I love where you're going, because when I upload these videos on YouTube, it asks me for tags, for
right.
characters, and that's how Google search algorithms uses what it uses to kind of being and categorize all this content and serve them a better, help people
When-
connect to us.
I wonder if that could be automated. Yeah.
Yeah, right now it's me doing it like, okay, what are we talking about? Okay, let me just find highlights. But yeah, maybe you can do key points, or maybe when we post on LinkedIn or like social media, you can do that. Yeah, maybe that's a good idea for a project. Okay, then as I mentioned, yeah, we'll take a break here, and then Thanksgiving is coming up as well. And then on December 6th, we're gonna get together for a hybrid event. You're welcome to join us in person or online. We'll talk about this building system with ChatGPT. This is a new link here. Yeah, this is the second course from Deep Learning AI we're gonna cover. This is in collaboration with OpenAI. So think of it as right now we've done single chain prompts, meaning we have a prompt, we have a specific task, we get the outcome, we're happy, we're done. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna chain them together, meaning we're gonna take the output of one, we're gonna feed it to another prompt.
Yeah, I can
We're gonna take the output of the second one, feed it to another prompt for multi-step processing or multi-step reasoning. And another really cool thing we're gonna do is we're gonna have a large language model generate an output, but we're gonna talk a lot about safety and responsibility and responsible AI. So we're gonna have a secondary large language model evaluate the output of the first language model based on some context. So that will be a really interesting session. This is where a lot of discussion is happening right now. And actually it's such a big topic that one of the OpenAI's original thought authors, he went away from OpenAI and he created his own company called Anthropic around this idea of what is called constitutional AI, where you have not just one large language model giving you an output, you have one that generates it based on trained data and prompt, but also you have another one that tries to evaluate and see if it contradicts any information, if it's grounded, if it violates any of your privacy policies and all that. So really going to talk about safety and data privacy. And as well as routing or delegation. So maybe you have multiple, this is the idea a little bit about autogen, which at some point we're going to cover. Or you have a general shallow knowledge assistant, and then you have multiple specialized assistants who are really good at maybe at something. Maybe they're good at math, or maybe they're good at Python, or maybe they're good at SQL, or maybe they're good at some other specific task. Then you'll see we'll have a centralized assistant that delegates tasks to the specialized assistants, recognizes which is the one for the right job, delegates, they do the specific job, and then the outcome comes back. So this is the idea behind AutoGen. This next course covers a tiny bit about it, but I think this deserves a whole dedicated session where you have, again, a general domain agent and specialized ones. So in this case, the screenshot here. So plot a chart of the stock prices. Then, okay, I need to create the code to create the stock prices. Oh, I'm missing some libraries. Let me install it. This is the output. Oh, I don't want it in dollars. Please plot it in percentage. Here it is. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about this as well. So yeah, this is coming up, a really cool project, and I'll share the notebook as well. And we're getting more and more complex with our systems. And then we'll look for a fun project. Maybe it's an audio text one, like you mentioned, David, or maybe it's something something else based on what we've covered so far. Cool. That's all I had. I'll stop recording here and leave the floor open for any comments, questions, feedback.